Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you're having a great week, or at least what's left of it. It is Friday when I'm filming this video after all. And I wanted to do a video updating my top 5 from the house of Amouage, as I always add things to the collection. You know, things change as you wear certain fragrances. I don't know of any top 5 that I've ever kept the exact same. You know, certain situations, certain times of year, and obviously the more you wear certain fragrances, you grow to love some more than others. And of course, you always have new additions that may take the place of others. So this is just my current 5 favorite fragrances from the house of Amouage at this moment, as we're sitting here in, March of 2025. So take that for what you will. My top 5 will definitely not be the same as everybody else's. Amouage is certainly a polarizing house. And for me personally, I don't choose a lot of the fragrances from Amouage that are mass appealing. You know, getting into a house like this, very, very heavy Middle Eastern style, as you would expect being from Oman. You know, something that I really go out of my way to search for those very, very heavy Middle Eastern fragrances, which some people may not enjoy from the house, and others may be just like me, to where that is kind of the whole point of collecting the house of Amouage. So let's go ahead and start it off. These are not in order, except for the first one, number 5. This is Amouage Overture Man. This is one of those fragrances that has grown on me, for sure. When I first tried it, it's not that I disliked it. It was just very, very overwhelming in a lot of ways. Very animalic leather note to it. You get some spices in there. You get some nutmeg. Very resinous and citrus notes at the top as well. For me, this is a very proper dress-up masculine fragrance that doesn't really smell like anything else on the market. And it is certainly a fragrance that has a boozy characteristic, but not being overly boozy. You know, it mixes very well with the sweetness of the resins, the citrus. Again, for me, I believe it is the note of nutmeg in here that really makes it stand out. But it's just all very well blended. You know, I don't know if, unless I read it in the notes, I'm not sure that I would have actually picked out nutmeg on my own without reading that. So Overture Man is definitely one of those fragrances. If you watched any of my previous videos from Amouage, or even my top 5 from nearly 2 years ago, a couple of these were not even in there. And Overture Man, I would certainly say, is one that has grown on me the most. It is just a fantastic, classic, masculine Middle Eastern fragrance. Very, very good, again, for dress-up situations. So number 5, Amouage Overture Man. Now we're going to go ahead, switch these out. Number 4 here. Could be higher on the list, man. This one is just so versatile. Not a huge fan of the regular Reflection Man. I feel like any house could have done that. It didn't feel very distinct to Amouage. It was unique for the house because it was so mass appealing, and a lot of people will make the argument, it's like, oh, well, that's their best seller. Of course it is. You know, it's the most mass appealing, it's the most approachable, easy introduction to the house, very versatile. But the Reflection 45 for me is 100% where it's at. They added a lot of stuff in Reflection 45 that is just not in the regular one. Lots of resins, tonka bean, opompanax. You look at the ingredients between the regular Reflection and Reflection 45, and it is very clear what Amouage's direction is on that fragrance, and it was certainly to make it a lot stronger in terms of the structure of the base notes, a lot more familiar to that resinous Middle Eastern style that Amouage, of course, is so well known for. There's pretty much in every single fragrance in Amouage, you can find opompanax, myrrh, benzoin, ladanum, frankincense. Just keep naming off, you know, Middle Eastern notes. You know, oud, ambergris. There's a lot of things that make Amouage distinct. And I think for me, and I think for a lot of other people as well, it is the addition of all those quality resins that are, of course, native to their area. And for me, that's really what makes Reflection 45 a home run for me. And of course, the projection and longevity, with it being kind of the fragrance DNA that it is, it's always going to project well. And then you put it in an extrait format, it still projects well, but then you get that very, very long, and you know, some people may think it lasts too long, but for me, this fragrance is just perfect. So number 3 on the list here, we'll move them down. I told you they weren't in order. Jubilation 40. I've been fortunate enough to have older bottles of the original formulations of Jubilation 25. I currently have a bottle that's probably 85% full of the older packaging of Jubilation 25. And of all the iterations of Jubilation, I'm almost dead set that 40 is my favorite. Something that has aged even better after I've had it for over a year. Beautiful blackberry, frankincense, slightly smoked honey, some freshness from bay leaf in there as well, and rosemary, ambergris, oud. Again, it's everything that you love about the regular Jubilation 25, just amped up to an entirely different level. Same perfumer, unbelievable quality, and it's showing signs already of being a fragrance that is just going to age extremely well if kept in the right conditions. So, man, Jubilation 40, again, not very much difference from regular Jubilation 25 if you look at the notes. I think just for a little bit more of a juicy note because of the concentration, they did add a black currant on top of the blackberry that was already in there. So that is one small difference, a little bit more juicy, fruity, dark fruit note and Jubilation 40, probably to help maybe mask some of the other notes, because when I first got this fragrance, it was a little bit fresh, not in a weird way, but it did have that smell of rosemary and bay leaf that some people could maybe call camphoris. It never went that direction for me, thankfully, but I could see how for others it would have. But for me, the way this fragrance has aged and just the DNA of it, how much I love the regular Jubilation 25, this is everything that I wanted from the 40th anniversary fragrance. And I'm glad it was, because I bought it for the channel when it was brand new, direct from Amouage, and paid retail for it. And now, of course, you see it at discounters for the low 300s. Now, these are always going back and forth for me. And of course, these two, for me, have always been some of my favorite fragrances. There's not been a lot of change with my top two. And these are also very polarizing ones from the house. These are usually people's absolute favorites from the house, like they are for me. Or people, you couldn't pay them to wear these fragrances. And that's just how it is with Amouage. Some you love, some you hate. And Silver Oud for me was an acquired smell, even though I did like it. Smelling it out of the bottle, it was just very dense, ashy, earthy, animalic. That Oud Assam note comes on very strong. There's definitely some understated sweetness in here from the woods and some of the other notes. But that is really what the fragrance is about. As the name would suggest, it is really about that Silver Oud, that Oud Assam note, bringing it to life. And I was very close to putting King Blue on this list as well. But for that category of fragrance, King Blue is more like a fruity oud with a very similar base note to Silver Oud. Even though they are different fragrances, they both use Oud Assam, if I'm correct on that. And man, personally for me, I just love Silver Oud. It is also one of my most genuinely complimented fragrances. Women seem to love it. I've told this story before, but I was with a friend in one of the higher end liquor stores in the area that I live in, and we were doing some shopping for scotch and bourbons. And I had a lady walk by, and she actually ended up following us out of the store, asking which one of us smelled like that. And he wasn't wearing any fragrances, even though he is into fragrances. I was wearing Silver Oud, and she genuinely just didn't say, "Hey, you smell really good." She wanted to know who made the fragrance, obviously what the name was, how much it cost, where to buy it. To me, those are the most genuine compliments, when people not only say that you smell good, but they legitimately want to know where they can purchase that fragrance. And of course, me, I don't really gatekeep any fragrances, so I told her, I'd be surprised if you heard of it. It's a Middle Eastern company, and, blah, blah, blah. Let her know exactly where she could find it. Let her on to Joma Shop as well, so she didn't get scared by the retail pricing, because I believe you can pick this up for the low to mid 200s now. For me, backup bottle worthy, absolutely. Now, apparently the glue has come off here on the little necklace that it's got around the X-Straight cap, but Interlude 53, so many good iterations of this. I mean, the regular Interlude is amazing. Interlude Black Iris is a much more wearable version. It doesn't have the oregano in there, a little bit clean. Same DNA, but just a little bit of a tweak in the formula there for Black Iris. But for me, of all the ones that I've tried and worn, Interlude 53 is 100% the best iteration of the Interlude fragrances for my skin and my personal taste. And man, just everything you would expect. It's known for being one of the strongest fragrances in the world, longest lasting. I probably don't have to really go over that for you guys at all. But really what shocked me about Interlude 53 was just how smooth it was. With an X-Straight, you probably expect it to be a little bit louder, maybe in some ways a little bit rougher around the edges, and if anything, the higher oil concentration kind of smooth things out. You know, you don't get as much of a vegetal smoky note from that oregano. It's a lot more resin and leather based and oud based with the extrait. At least that's how it comes across on my skin. You get the pimento berry as well. This stuff is just absolutely incredible. I could see why maybe it would be too much for some people, and also depending on how it goes on their skin. I've heard people say it just smells like a burnt forest or something. Thankfully, I don't get that on my skin. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't be my favorite from the house. But man, yeah, Interlude 53, if you watch my videos, top 5 is always changing, but these two definitely seem to be always in the top 2 to 3 for me. You see some of the fragrances behind me. It's so tough to leave some of these things off my list. You know, I love Epic Man, I love Reckless Leather, Rose Incense, Royal Tobacco I love, but it's more situational. So I really only wear that when I'm having cigars and drinks and stuff of that nature. So again, guys, really enjoyed doing this video for you, but it is so hard to choose a top 5 from the House of Amouage. And I will probably do another video following up on this, just ranking my entire collection of Amouage in general. I'm waiting for a few more fragrances, probably Purpose 50 to hit discounters, and Outlands, I believe it is, from Cecil Sorokian. I think that was one of the ones that came out whose notes grabbed my attention. But again, with me buying all the Boadicea and Raja Parfum fragrances lately, I'm definitely going to wait for those to hit discounters. See if I can snag them up for the low mid 300s instead of paying retail for them. And then I'll review them and probably do an updated ranking on the entire collection. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Love doing these for you. Hope you got some use out of it. And I'll see you guys soon.